are back, everybody. I hope everybody's had a good time while we're away. My name's Emery Wolf, and joining me is
Nick Lamb.
And this is Just Two Camera Guys, a show where we're going to talk about all things camera. And yeah, Nick, we haven't been around for a while. But if you've tuned in to see the 14th best camera podcast
number 14
on the internet, you have tuned in to the right spot.
Yes. What's happening with your mic? Sounding a little gains a little cranked.
No, I don't know. I'm yelling in it.
Oh, you're yelling. Okay.
I was hype. I was jacked.
Yeah. You know what? I've listened to several of those podcasts, and I feel like I've got a bit of opinion on what makes a good podcast and what doesn't.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Did you listen to any of them?
I do actually listen to a few of them.
Okay. So the good ones are good, right? As much as we rag on them, Fro knows number one.
Nick, we went up to 13th somehow.
Yeah. Well, if you've seen
it, I don't know what happened.
Well, so this is we had guests on our show for the longest time. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The problem with guests, and if you listen to a lot of the podcasts on this list, is guests' audio often sucks. And it's hard to listen to a podcast with bad audio. So that's a big detractor, I would say, with a lot of these podcasts. Some podcasts can figure out how to do guests, but you have to be, after listening to these podcasts, you have to be very strict with your audio requirements. If you have a guest, they've got to sound good.
After you're like, Emery, your audio sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Too, like looking at this list, I mean, number one here, Fro knows. I don't think that's a big shock, or Pay to Pixel as well.
Now his podcast, it's not a regular on my podcast listening, but he does a good job keeping it interesting. He's got fun little bits in it, fun segments.
This is Fro knows.
We could actually learn a few things from Fro knows. We've had different segments over the years, but he seems to have a little bit more fun with them.
Pay to Pixel, I always kind of like Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake. I just enjoy those guys. But I honestly haven't even listened to the podcast. Didn't even know they had it until this list came out. And the Classic Camera Revivals one I've actually listened to as well. It's decent, but I think that's it for me on here until you get to that whopping number 13.
Number 13.
Look out, boys. We are on a tear.
It's true. You know what? We broke another one of the rules that I don't like to start a podcast, where it starts off with just nothing forever. So the ones that do it right have a little bit of an intro at the start where it just goes straight into it. All right, today we're going to talk about mini cameras. We're going to talk about microphones. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about that. We're going to dig into the mailbag. Let's get started.
Yeah, we did do that for a time, and then I think we just got lazy.
Yeah.
I also kind of like to just spring stuff on you without giving you any heads up.
It's true. We broke a lot of the rules today. Another rule that I've actually noticed in these podcasts is you never start it with, all right, guys, apologize. I've been away for a while.
Yeah. Well, do you know what though, Nick, to celebrate the moment here, I've got all my lights off because I got a little razzle dazzle.
Whoa,
just for the new
what do you got happening?
It's
here, put it in the
RGB.
2 box. I can't see. I need a magnifying glass to see what's going on here. Whoa, what's happening there?
Color.
Okay, walk us through this. What do you got going on here?
Well, you can see down in the one corner, there's the little blue RGB. And then when I move my head there, it's right behind my head.
So just for those that aren't watching, which is probably everybody.
Because it's a podcast.
Because it is a podcast. Yeah. So half of Emery's screen is blue/purple, and the other half is red. Now, I'm going to critique your. Obviously, I'm one to throw stones when you look at my background, but I prefer the one on my left. So the left half of your screen where there's that little bit of red sneaking around with black. That's my preference. Love that look. The all blue wasn't as interesting.
There, I can kind of toy with it if I want.
So what did you do on the left side that made it so that it's not just a big wash of color?
Oh, that's just because there's a ton of crap back there if I actually turned on lights.
What do you mean?
There's a popcorn machine.
Oh, there's like stuff in front of the lights and the lights are behind it.
Right. There's a popcorn machine. And then behind it's like a whole shelf unit. And then on the other side, there's just a wall.
Yeah.
And stairs. And then there's technically a couch here where this other light is sitting on.
Okay. Yeah, I like the look on the left side more. That's maybe something for me to consider because I'm doing a moving back out to, well, not moving out to the garage, but setting my studio back up out here in the middle of project. You can see I've got all these 2x4s over there.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, the construction has begun. Moving storage inside the house again, and this whole room is gonna be mine.
I bought this whole rig thing that attaches to my desk so my camera can stay attached to it. I've got a light right there.
Ooh.
That is attached to it. My microphone now is on a stand that is also attached to the desk. So all my stuff is like here. So it should make for like a little quicker, easier setups. And then yeah, too, like I was just kind of toying around. We'll make this light a little more orangey on my face. Now you can really see the sun.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that looks better. That's looking better.
But anyways, I can toy around and all an app on my phone too, which is kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, I like that. This is now it's cleaning up. Like the look.
All right, Nick, you said you had 3 things you wanted to talk about tonight.
What do you want to go over? Well, we pretty much hit them all.
we're all done. We're out of ideas and podcast done. We'll see you next year, everybody.
No, I did want to talk about what makes a good podcast. I think
okay,
that's something we should definitely talk about. I do want to talk about the studio setup that I've got going on here and dig into your studio setup that you're building yours a little bit more. And then I want to get into the DJI Mic 2 and the DJI Mic Mini. See if you've got any opinions on that.
I have not even heard that they've come out.
Okay, never mind. Well, we'll still chat
run through some stuff. Do you know what? I'll do some Googling here.
Yeah.
If you want to carry the show for a moment.
So, I want to start off. What's your studio setup now? What made you change it? What's happening with it?
Just trying to simplify things, right? And again, because it would take me like 30 minutes, 40 minutes to pull everything out, set it up on tripods, set it up on stands. It was a pain. We started off using lights.
Mm-hmm.
It was like taking me like an hour. And I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
So then I was looking at stuff. I think I bought all these lights for $150. So there's 2 RGBs and then 1 in the front. They're just newer lights, but they're good enough. And yeah, I think I hit like one of the Amazon sales and was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then I bought this cage thing. It was sort of the same thing. Just instead of setting up a tripod behind the computer monitor that's in front of me, I got this. It's literally like a cage. I don't even know how to describe it. It's weird. It's like two bars on each side that go straight up, and then there's one that sits on top of it. And
okay.
I can mount the camera to that bar on the top.
So it's basically it attaches. It's kind of like the mic stands. It screws and attaches to the desk itself. Yeah. And then it's got a platform on it. Is that what's how I'm kind of picturing it in my head?
No, there's basically just like little poles that stick up on the top, and then I can run another bar on top of it, and they just go through. And then
okay, it's a pole setup.
Yeah,
cool. I like the sound of that. That's something that we people like I never considered before, because this is our 59th episode, I believe.
Wow. How do you even
And
know that? Were you like going back counting?
yeah, I
I've
went back and counted a little bit.
I've
And
completely forgot everything.
but that's something that I'm going to take into account setting up my office here this time, is the time it takes to set up to record. You're right. It takes you 20, 30 minutes. You don't feel like recording all the time. But if you've got something that you can have set up in 2 minutes, like dedicated light, a dedicated microphone, dedicated camera, like if everything's dedicated, so much easier. So that's why I don't have my phone set up right now. Oh, that's another thing we got to chat about. But I will go back to my phone camera. We'll go back to, I'm gonna have dedicated lights. Gonna have, yeah, my setup out here. I'm gonna build so that it can be set up in 2 or 3 minutes. I saw. Have you seen those studio tours by? Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on his name.
Like everybody?
Yeah. So, anyways, the studio tours. I saw this one studio tour where this lawyer had this. It was essentially like this one giant C stand on wheels, and he had everything kind of clamped to it, where he had his lights, his camera, all of his cabling coming out of it, and he could just move that one stand around, and it would roll. He could be up and running in 2 minutes. That's what I want.
Yeah. I follow a YouTuber, Blacktail Studios. He's a carpenter. He makes woodworker. I don't know what you actually call him. He does like all the what do you call that? Epoxy tables and stuff like that.
I've seen some of his stuff.
Yeah, I think he's really good, really entertaining. And they also have the one stand system that they roll around his shop, which is actually pretty slick as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something going forward that I'm going to build into this. And so I went and I toured a friend of the podcast, Jeremy Ratzlaff's studio / office. And very inspiring. He's got, those rolling tool chests? He's got those. So he's basically got his workbench, like his camera bench, and then these rolling tool chests underneath the workbench. And when you open up all of the drawers, instead of there being tools like mechanics, like crescent wrench and flat wrenches, it's like all camera gear and camera like accessories and stuff like that kind of set inside of it. Really, really cool storage for all of his gear so that he can kind of quickly pack up and hit the road. So yeah, it's sweet. Plus, he can park in his garage too for safety, like for his gear. So he can park in there, take his camera stuff out if he wants, or leave it in his vehicle, put it on the shelves, work on it on the bench, store away all of his accessories. I'm going to build something similar out here.
Yeah. What makes a good podcast then, Nick? You talked about a few things. Is there something else?
So a big one is how, like, I'll tell you what I don't like to start. It's the guest audio that gets me every time. I can't listen to people with the guests with bad audio. It's just terrible.
So is this just your preference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my preference. We need to do a better job of this, but the people that do fun segments where it's got a recurring segment that kind of what's coming, but it's going to be fun, like our Shelf of Shame. I feel like that's a good segment that we could make fun and funny and introduce into a show. It doesn't even have to be at the end, but we could introduce it early, kind of keep people interested. Something like that, I think, would be good. More of
We
those.
almost need people to submit their Shelves of Shame.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. You've got your Shelf of Shame. And if we did go back to guests, you got to have, when you have the good audio, that would be a fun thing to get them to submit too. It's like, oh, what's your Shelf of Shame? Yeah, Shelf of Shame stuff would be good. Having the bits. having some semblance of repetition, like where you'd start off with funny stuff, you get into your topic, you know the next topic's coming, you know that the shelf of shame is coming, you know that the making fun of a camera is coming, you know that the new camera news is coming, like that kind of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of things that we could do to improve our show.
So basically, you mean we should plan?
Yeah, planning wouldn't be a bad thing.
Do you know what, man? I have a maybe table this talk a little bit later. I've got in the old mailbox of things, I do have like a podcast on what you should be doing on podcasts. I half listened to it. It was really good. I sent to myself to listen later, and yeah, we'll maybe talk about those things. But I'm pretty sure they do talk about stuff like that too, about like having good audio and what that means. The DJI Mic Mini 2.
Yeah. Well, so they got the Mic 2 and then the Mic Mini, if I'm not.
Right. I did a Google for the DJI Mic Mini 2 specs.
Is it? Oh, okay, so hold on. So there's a DJI Mic 2 and a Mic Mini. Is the Mini 2 out right now? Am I?
Well, I thought that's what you said. Sorry. It might just be the Mic Mini.
Mic Mini 2. Okay. No, so it's the Mic Mini. So they came out with the DJI Mic 2, right? So the DJI Mic 2 was their, you know, the ones you see the YouTuber wearing with that big, it looks like half of an iPhone or a big compact flash card attached to their.
Yeah. We actually use them at work.
Yeah. And
they're
so
not that big, Nick. They're like
it's basically got an iPhone attached to yourself. And you're walking around. Pretty obvious. But so the advantage to the Mic 2, do you have it can record internally on the mic. So you can record 32-bit float audio onto the actual transmitter, right?
Yeah, like the one I have can.
Yeah. So that's a big plus. And you can also plug in a lav microphone to it. A little bit more of a professional side, but for almost half the price, you can get the Mini 2, which from
just the Mini. I thought we just had.
Oh yeah, the Mini. Now you got me saying Mini 2. So they've got the mic, yeah, the DJI Mini, but the Mini doesn't have the internal audio. So it'll only record to your transmitter. So you'll have to have it connected to your camera or your phone. But man, I'm seeing a lot of use cases for this thing where if you're wanting to just go out and do a little bit of a vlog, a little bit of a home movie style thing, plug that thing into your phone, away you go. Do you really need that internal backup? So let me ask you this: at your work, how often do you use the internal backup?
Literally all the time.
Okay.
So
for professional use, you want it.
Yeah, like, and it's a little bit different too, because I use it on site all the time. So like we'll have like wind noise, machine noise, all that sort of stuff. And so the backup one on the device itself, I believe, does like a 10 decibel cut or 20 decibel cut, so that I can mix back and forth between the two if I need.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of like the big range for me.
Yeah. And with the 32-bit float audio, you can't really screw it up, because you've got essentially almost unlimited gain to reduce or increase your volume.
Yeah. And I'm basically recording things twice, right? And that's the big thing for myself, because then I'm always getting something. Yeah. The irony of this Mic Mini for me, so for the lady that works in Saskatoon, for us to try to get her to do more video stuff as well, we bought her It was a Hollyland something
Yeah.
or other, but it's absurdly small, and I kind of like it. And it's also like plug and play, kind of like this mic mini.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why I was been tossing this one around is because when there's a lot of times that I just want to do some vlogging or film a little video for myself, and I don't want to go grab my camera. I don't want to grab a big setup. I just want to record it and go. And I feel like this might be the answer for those quick kind of run and gun personal shoots.
Yeah, I'm trying to see, but so the ones we bought her, I thought they were the Lark, but it might be something else. But they're literally like the size of like a dime.
Yeah.
So like the only downside I would say to them is like you might lose them.
Well, yeah, that actually could be a thing. Now, I'm a huge lav person. So do you use lavs with your mic 2 at work, or do you just use the built-in microphone?
I've got lavs that I plug in. So like when we sit down and do interviews, I'll plug in the lavs.
Okay.
When we're on site, I typically will just use the mic on the thing just because it's a little quicker setup.
Yeah. So I've actually never used the because I've got the Sennheiser ones, like the labs where you plug. Yeah, they only have the lab option. It doesn't record to the pack itself.
Yeah.
But
So here they are, the Lark M2, and they're like, I don't even know if they're a quarter size. They're 9 grams,
oh yeah,
super tiny. And this plug and play uh, plug and play things for like your cell phones and stuff was also
yeah.
sort of like part of the thing, so that she could just literally you put it in and it's working. You just literally hit the power button, and that's so it's pretty user friendly, pretty easy to use.
Now, have you compared the audio on the two?
The audio from the DJI is definitely better,
Okay,
but at the same time, like I'm not gonna complain to get something from her,
okay.
right?
Because
Like, and
when
that's sort of the point.
yeah, in the reviews that I've been listening to, where I'm hearing the difference, where somebody's like talking on the mic 2 and then they talk on the mic mini, I can't really hear a difference.
Oh wow.
And the reviewers tend to say that they like the sound of the mic 2 a little bit more, but the difference is almost negligible, is what the consensus seems to be.
Nice.
So that's another one. But the Hollyland one, what I need to do is I need to listen to a few reviews that'll compare now the Hollyland versus the Mic Mini and the price range, because the price on the Mic Mini, I believe, is pretty good. What's VizTech have them listed
Yeah, I
at
feel
right
like
now?
we bought the Hollyline one for like $100. I don't even
Oh,
know
a
the
hundred
exact.
bucks.
Yeah,
Okay, 240 for the mic 2. So you get two transmitters, or the mic mini comes with two transmitters, one receiver, charging case, 240 bucks.
yeah. Currently, the Hollyland Lark M2 is 167 on Amazon, and that's the one. It comes with your camera attachment and your two phone attachments, Lightning and USB-C.
How much is it on Amazon?
$167.
Okay, VizTech has it for 167 too. So
Yeah.
that's
But again, if you're getting that quality out of the DJI Mic Mini, that's probably a good deal.
yeah, an extra, what's that, 70, 80 bucks?
Yeah.
Or probably a tiny step up in quality. Yeah. So I don't know. Try to talk me out of that, because why shouldn't I buy this, I guess?
Well, what do you need it for?
My own personal vlogging, kind of my own, like basically my YouTube channel, give me a chance to quickly make content without setting up my camera, doing that whole thing, just vlogging style.
Um, yeah, I would say just buy them.
Yeah, I think so.
try to talk you out of it. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. How much of this vlog are you going to start doing a lot more of this?
I'd like to, but it's a similar thing to the podcast here, where the more time it takes to set up, the less likely I am to do it.
Yeah. The only thing I'm looking at this mic mini that I'm not liking is that it doesn't have those phone connections, or is it just Bluetooth to phones maybe?
Oh, does it not have the phone connection? Interesting. I thought it did connect to the phone.
It must just Bluetooth to a phone.
No, it's got a receiver, USB-C connection. So you can get a USB-C to Lightning. Yeah. Yeah, you'll be able to do that.
They're slick, they're easy. It's nice that you can just jump on, do it, plug it in, and you're rolling within a couple seconds.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's sweet. And then the only issue that's going to come up is that Ruth's going to want to borrow it, and then it's going to get lost.
It's money well spent, Nick.
But you know what's funny? Her camera still working. The DJI Action Pro version 1.
Oh yeah.
Still going strong.
Nice. Is she still active, still busy?
Just made a video with the cousins the other day. Recreated a Homestar Runner music video.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just thinking of Homestar Runner the other day. I was out on a fishing trip and I was like, I wonder what happened to that.
Oh, so they actually do make some new content, but yeah, I know nothing about Homestar Runner compared to Ruth. She's seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
like
why
makes fun of me because I only know the classics.
Yeah. That's why I started, like, I call it a lappy or whatever, right? And have some weird verbiage. A lot of it comes from Homestar Runner.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the one that keeps running in my head right now is did you see the one where Strong Bad wasn't gonna make the song about Sibby? Where they go, I'm never, ever, 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 ever gonna make a song about Sibby.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like
I'm never, ever, ever, ever gonna make a song about Sibby.
And then it's like, where's that beat coming from? And then it cuts to coming in at number 4, Strong Bad, song about Sibby.
Yeah, show's great. I'm gonna jump in here, Nick, with a little topic. Horror movies.
Oh, interesting.
The next big thing. Just gonna reject.
Well, I think they've been the next thing for years, haven't they?
Yeah. If you look at this little chart here, it looks pretty like steady from almost 2015
I would say so. It's been I would have you know what? I actually would have guessed that this chart would have looked more steadily up since 2008.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised it had a dip. I didn't think there was ever a dip in horror movies.
Well, I think it kind of comes and goes, but like lately, for whatever reason, it's been sort of hitting that thing. I know we talked to the guys from Saskatchewan that made that horror movie a couple of years ago. Good guys, and it was just the passion I think that those people have, the people who make them.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna read a couple things here from this thing, but they're talking about the movie Sinners with taking its $90 million budget. They're posting, for context, many films tend to drop 40 to 50% on their second weeks. Sinners dropped just 6%.
Ooh.
So they're making money on that. It also talks about reveals that the horror genre has accounted for a 12.1% share of domestic box office ticket sales in 2025, up 9.8% from last year, not far off the record of 12.9% that the genre took in 2021.
Oh, this is Michael B. Jordan in it. Wow.
Sinners.
Yeah. He's a big time star in a horror movie there.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting thing. Horror movies. How do you feel about them, Nick?
Never been a big fan, but Between you and me, they scare me. And
Fair enough. Fair enough.
and that's pretty much the reason why I don't like them. Because it's I'm the guy that if I watch a horror movie, wake up in the middle of the night, kind of peeking around the door of the washroom, looking behind the shower curtain, that making sure the doors are locked. Yeah, can't do them.
Yeah. Me personally, I kind of have a love-hate with them. I don't like the gory movies. Like I'm not into the gore horror. I don't know what else you'd call it, but I like one that makes me think. White Noise was a movie that made me think. I'd never heard of the concept before until I seen that. Do you know what White Noise was about?
No.
Forget what they call it, but essentially there's like a paranormal research activity where they go into a space and they just record nothing. So all the like
Yeah.
from just the room, and then when you go and tweak it into your, on your computer or whatever, I don't know how they tweak it, but eventually, like sometimes you'll hear voices and stuff like that, and they think it's the ghosts or the spirits or whatever you want to call it talking to them. And it's interesting stuff. And I'd never heard that before until one night I came home after hockey, was sitting in my dark, dingy basement watching movie trailers at 1 a.m. And I, got scared of that, just that concept, trying to go to bed and all I can hear is just like nothing, like looking around, what's out there. And then, yeah, when the movie came out, I watched it, and I'm not going to say the best movie ever, but it was a good movie. It was entertaining and sort of relived that thing. So I kind of like the horror movies like that, which I think are kind of cheesy. I think that's the other thing with horror movies too. They're always low budget.
Well, Sinners seems to have a decent budget.
Yeah, they always seem like, but I'm sure. Yeah, I guess I had a pretty good, said 90. But they always seem like a lower budget and they don't really get stuff put behind them. But it seems like a lot of concepts and a lot of development comes out of the horror genre, which I always think is actually interesting.
Yeah. So I've worked on several horror movies, and they're some of the best shows to work on, I think, because
Oh,
the sets are always kind of wild, kind of interesting. The directors typically tend to have a big passion for the movie. They really put a lot of thought, and like you would be surprised the amount of creativity and thought that goes into those things. And
yeah.
then all like when they do the effects on camera, not CGI, very cool. Like there's always gore flying everywhere. Yeah, so they're always kind of cool. I don't know. I've never went home scared after working on a horror movie, but watching it, you get the audio, you get all the whole plot involved. Yeah, it kind of creeps me out.
Yeah. I'm going to throw another news one your way. The Oscars add a best stunt design
Ooh,
category. So I think they added a few things with stunts, but it's another one of those underrated ones. Well, you've worked on action movies with me too,
yeah.
and the stuff that those guys can do and the women that are doing those things, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. The but the stuff that I always found the most impressive on movies was driving. A lot of the driving that you see, like the crazy stuff, uh, there's some pretty fancy driving that's involved in getting that shot to happen.
Yeah, I'm not a big Quentin Tarantino fan, but that like driving movie, I forget what they called it, that they did, the one with Rodriguez. Anyways, whatever it was, like they did all the stunts with the cars and actually like
Mhm.
ramping cars over other cars and stuff. And it was kind of like, I might not like the guy, but I can actually respect what he was doing with this. It was something we just don't see much of anymore. Um,
There's a big difference between a good stunt person and a bad stunt person. I'll tell you that. If you've got a real good stunt coordinator that can choreograph the scene, it's incredible. And if there's a lower end one, you good news is you're gonna get some overtime.
Yeah. And man, these people like work their tails off, right? Like, and they're putting their bodies and on the line, and it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. So kind of a long overdue thing, in my opinion, for this. I didn't even know it was a thing, but like, man, long overdue.
Yeah, that is a cool idea. And the guys that the Tom Cruises, I don't know how they do it. I've actually never worked on a movie that has this megastar that does their own stunts. I've never seen that.
Yeah. Do you remember the Ultimate Arm?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
thing was bonkers.
Yeah. Basically, it was the maybe somewhat like a techno crane that was attached to a car that they would drive around and had full control over it remotely inside the car. So there'd be 4 people, I believe, in the car at the same time, the driver, focus puller, the operator, and then I feel like it had another person that was like extending, and so somebody was operating the camera and the other person was operating the movement of the crane. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing was wild. I can't
And
remember
like,
the type of car it was attached to, but it was apparently a
it was
super
a
heavy car.
souped up Audi.
Was it? Okay.
I want to say it was an A6, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, and they would drive it in those, like, parkades. They take it everywhere. Yeah, it
And
was
they would
nuts.
drive it hard.
Yeah,
Like, and yeah, it was unreal the things they were doing with it. It was
and,
honestly one of the coolest things I've seen on a film shoot.
that show got renamed, and I can't remember the rename of the show. So I believe the
Yeah,
original name was Hunter, but I can't remember the
yeah,
release
but
name of the
I
show.
think it came out as hybrid, and then I think it got changed again. Not too sure.
I can't remember.
Did we hit everything you wanted to talk about?
Super Hybrid.
Super
Is that
hybrid.
the name of it?
I think so. That sounds right.
Super Hybrid. No? Impound Garage. Soon discovers the car has a mind of its own with hundreds of horsepower and 2 tons of. Yes, that sounds like an unstoppable killing machine. Yeah, that sounds like the movie.
Yeah.
I want to give it a watch sometime because it looked cool when we were filming it. I'll tell you that.
Do you remember one of the coolest things to watch that movie? If anybody watches it, there is one scene where they flip a car in downtown Regina at nighttime. They flipped a car in downtown
Yeah,
Regina. It was
I
amazing.
remember that.
It's amazing. And then it's funny. There's like, I remember like thinking like how cool this was. And honestly, too, like the shots and stuff with it when they do it are cool, but like the work up to it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But they flipped a car in downtown Regina, and it's just cool to see that because you can really tell that it's downtown Regina.
4.1 out of 10 on IMDb. Huh.
Living large.
Yeah.
Nick, did we run out of your topics, by the way? I've got one more, but
Let's see, what else have I
I'm
got?
like a little hesitant on it.
No, I just had my studio set up that I'm just in the process of starting out here. So hopefully next week it's going to look a lot better. I don't know if it will yet because I've got to move shelves inside, get all these crates put inside the house. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on out here.
All right, I guess we'll hit the one I have.
Oh, fun. Yeah, I was hoping to do more talk about this. More tariff talk. Love it.
So Ed Stoppers had gone pretty hard into it. Did you, how are tariffs affecting you?
Well, you know my general stance on everything where I just ignore it for the most part. Try not to listen to any news. I literally don't have Apple News on my phone. Most of my news comes from other people. So you tell me, and then I'll maybe weigh in. But I hate talking about stuff that I did hear Econ Talks podcast on the tariffs. I did listen to that, which I always find their economic tastes or takes interesting, where they basically both agreed the best thing you can do if a country throws tariffs on you is just ignore them. Because you essentially, if you respond with a tariff, you hurt yourself, and just ignore it. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. You just ignore it and move on.
I'm not going to get into political things now. Anyways, F-Stopper's been big on it because obviously in the US, a lot of gear is made not in the US, which means all the gear that they'll be buying will have a tariff on it at some point in time.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed for us here in Canada or other countries. However, I think like once companies get away with selling things at a certain price, that will become the price in the US, sort of dictates that market. So we will see what happens. The other big idea or the big concept, I think, is this: tariffs were set up to encourage companies to build, manufacture, whatever you want to call it, locally, right? Or to protect industries, right? Like Canada does tariffy things to protect certain industries.
Yeah,
agriculture and things like
some
that.
specific ones, like milk, I believe, it's got tariffs. I think eggs, maybe.
Yeah.
There's a few select industries that'll have it that I know of.
Yeah. So anyways, there's a bunch of people, and I don't know why. This is what gets me about it. F-Stoppers is kind of like fear mongering about these prices with stuff. And it's like, just have some patience, people. I understand that in the US, these prices may go up, but have some patience. That's your first thing, right?
So I think, sorry, you go ahead. You finish talking, and then
I was going to say they did eventually get to some better things as to what a photographer could do. If you're really scared, buy stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
Then you avoid the tariffs. Although it's probably a little bit late now. You might actually be hitting tariffs now. But the other thing too is like buy used.
Yeah.
We talk
about that all the time.
Yeah, great way to avoid tariffs.
It's, you know what's great about not being sponsored by anybody? You just talk about buying used.
Yeah, that's fair. Facebook Marketplace should sponsor us.
Yeah. Well, it's a great, honestly, the buying used. There's some things that I would buy new, like that mic, the DJI Mic Mini. There's just nothing really that's come out. That tech is so new that I don't really know how you could get it used unless somebody bought it and they're just getting rid of it. I would be a little bit worried that I'd be buying somebody's stolen Mic Mini at that point.
Yeah.
So, which I don't want to do.
The other thing they give there too is to rent equipment. You don't actually need to own stuff either. You can just rent whatever you want.
What do you think about that? You'd think I'd be a rental person, but
you rented my teleprompter.
Yes. Yeah, true.
I think that's like the rental game is like, you got to be planned out, right? Like if you're a photographer, you're going to plan your shoots, whatever you're doing. If you're a landscaper, you're like, I'm going on this trip. I need a whatever lens for this, just rent it for the week. Makes sense to me. If you only do 1 or 2 trips a week, perfect. If you're a studio person, like you could just rent lenses by the hour pretty much, I'm sure, in the US.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just brought this other one up to show that there was a lot of different camera people actually like kind of looking into tariffs to see like how they affect them, and everybody's like dread and stuff, right? Like, oh my God. And I mean, again, this is US. For us, it doesn't really affect us. The one other thing I will say with this, I'll bring up another one here. This is from Canon Rumors.
Okay.
So Canon released the 75 to 300 lens. It's kind of a cheaper lens, but it took them a week for the announcement to go to the US. So it came out, they did their official announcement for everybody else except for the US. And again, I think they're trying to figure out that market and what they have to do in that market. So it's kind of interesting. I feel like tariffs probably had something to do with that. They didn't outright say it did, but I kind of assume it did.
Yeah.
So anyways, tariffs are affecting things. And actually too, like hypothetically, if you were to buy a DJI mic straight from DJI, would you be tariffed on it, Nick?
Interesting. I don't even know. I'm so concerned about the film industry, obviously. If that gets tariffed, that's going to be a problem.
I sent myself an email about that too. And like, I don't even understand that. I don't get what they're doing. I need to read it. I need to actually look, but like, it sounds stupid.
That's what I've heard from everybody. That it sounds stupid. Well, no, honestly, that's a consensus.
How do you tariff your own industry? I don't understand.
Yeah. Everything I've heard, it sounds stupid. Vancouver apparently is dead right now. Toronto still got work, so I don't know what that means.
Well, maybe that's what it is like they're tariffing if they go elsewhere, right?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know how you exactly do it. But you tariff the company if they're an American company, I guess.
Right. But that stops the things like I'm trying to think who has just done it, but it stops at like, you're making some love story and, people take a trip to Paris and then all of a sudden, well, I guess they're not taking a trip to Paris. They're going to New York, baby.
Yeah.
The romantic city of New York.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like whether they could make the movie there. From what I've heard, there's some movies that won't get made now because of this, but I don't know what that means. That's kind of like when I was 13 years old and gas went up to $1 and all right, kids, we're not making the trip to Calgary this summer. That didn't actually happen, but
yeah, I don't know. Weird times. We get to just sit here and I guess watch it all unfold.
Yeah, some industries. So I know the board game industry.
I love that you just please tell me you're going to talk about the disc golf after this.
Yeah, I'll bring them back to disc golf. So there has been some companies that have gone out of business in the board game industry, and they're blaming tariffs, but I feel like there had to have been something wrong with the company already.
Do you know what's funny? We had the same talk when Drobo went out of business after the COVID stuff, and they were blaming COVID as well. But it's like, I'm pretty sure Drobo just wasn't doing that hot.
Yeah. So, and you know how you talked about buying stuff? So there was a company that went out of business, and they had so when you buy a board game, you can buy the board game, and then if it's a good game, they come out with expansions. So if you think of it like Settlers of Catan, and then suddenly you've got Settlers of Catan on the seas, Settlers of Catan in the city, all that kind of stuff. So there was a game that came out, and that company went out of business. And I went on and I bought every expansion within 30 minutes of me hearing that it went out of business.
That's pretty good.
And then worried about tariffs. Yeah, I bet you that I spent $400 to $500 on board games out of fear of the tariffs. So, yeah, some of the companies, maybe it's worked out in their favor.
Yeah. Trying to think other news, Nick. What else, man?
You want me to bring it back to disc golf? I had an idea for us.
I was going to before you do that, I just want to tell everybody I bought the most epic tripod ever. I love it so much.
Oh, what one is it? Tell me about it.
It's a I don't even know what it is. Benro Mach 3, I think.
Is a Benro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a carbon fiber. It stands like 7 feet tall at its like peak. I think actually if I extend like the tube in the middle, it's like 8 feet tall.
Oh, no head with it, just the sticks.
Yeah. And then I bought a
I love it.
Bought a leveling head with it too. So that's gonna be like for my video head. So when I put it on, I can level it on that like a little flat. It's not like a super like underneath ball head level type thing, but
Benro's the
nice.
Sackler knockoff, isn't it?
I don't know. Benro.
I don't mind Benro. I've got a Benro tripod and thoroughly impressed with it. Yeah, this thing looks sweet. This Benro Mach 3. So it's a carbon fiber tripod. How heavy is this thing? This thing's got to be light. What's the weight on this?
It's a massive tripod though, right? Like the biggest legs are like an inch thick.
Yeah,
like
load
huge.
capacity 35 pounds. Weight 4.3 pounds.
Yeah.
Maximum working height 69.7 inches. So what's that? That's 7 feet?
Yeah. Something like that.
So let's see. Yeah. 70 divided by 12. No, 6 feet. No, it's got to be higher than that.
And it's higher than that. It's taller than me.
Yeah.
So
this thing looks sweet though.
Yeah, there's different like versions of it.
Oh, right? And then it's got the extender on it that buys you an extra foot on the top. Yeah. I've never been a big fan of those extenders, but boy, when you need that extra little foot and you crank that up, those things are sweet. Because you don't have to use it. You can keep it sturdy. And then it's got a little clasp that it's got a little, what's that, about a foot extension on it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that thing looks sweet.
Yeah, and then I bought like claw feet for it too, so hopefully a little better in dirt and rock and all that crap when I'm out. This is what I really wanted to tell you, Nick. So I was at a fishing trip last weekend.
Oh yeah, sweet.
And we were out in Manitoba, and we're done fishing for the day. The sun's going down, and guess what lens I pulled out of my case to do some landscape photography?
Ooh, okay. Can I ask what lenses you had with you? Because my first instinct is fisheye. I think you were going goofy with this, but
no, I had a 16 mil. So all the cheap primes from Canon's RF, 16 mil, 35 mil. What's the other one? 100 to 400 mil and an 800 mil.
Ooh, I think you got to go 35. You're pulling out the 35.
I pulled out the 800, Nick.
What?
Yeah, pulled out the 800, threw it on this tripod, and I took some landscape photos.
You're filming landscape.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Haven't even put them on my computer yet, so I can't even like show it. But
okay,
it was like as silhouettes of trees with.
I was gonna say silhouettes was my first instinct when you said 800, but then when you said landscape, it's like, well, what are you taking silhouettes of?
Trees. That's landscape.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and then like the sky and the colors and the lake and the colors of that too.
Okay, so I gotta go back to your Benro tripod for a second.
Sure.
Do you have spreaders for that thing?
No, it's just like those lockers at the top because it's still like it's a photography tripod.
So the legs, do they go in unison or how does that thing work? It's just little.
You can just pull out the little tab and then it does like 3 long segments, right? Like where the leg will stick out like 45 degrees and then 85 degrees and then whatever it is.
Okay, so it'll lock and it's got 3 predetermined areas.
Yeah.
Where it'll go. Okay. Because it's funny because I haven't used a tripod like that since camera assisting days where they're all just 3 independent legs, and then you need the spreaders, or if you go without spreaders. I haven't even thought about, it's funny, I haven't thought about spreaders in 10 years. But that's actually a good segment for us. What haven't you thought about in a while? Camera gear?
Well, we talked about Homestar Runner.
No, but go camera gear. And it's just like, I name something to see if you haven't thought about it in a while. If I just throw going an example.
So like if you were sticking with the spreader example, I've thought a lot about spreaders lately, mostly because part of this tripod too is getting rid of my video tripod.
Okay, yeah.
So plug, you go on Facebook Marketplace, you'll find a really good Manfrotto video tripod there. You will not find a better head in that price category. However, you do have to buy a $70 piece of aluminum to attach to the leg to attach the spreader, because the one is broken on mine. I've got the links if somebody wants it. Like whoever buys it, it's like, here's what you need. There's one screw in there that you got to take out, and that's it. And then you can replace the part.
Okay. I'm going to set it at a year. So 2024 in May, I'm going to say you haven't thought about on-camera flash in the last year.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yes. I did it.
Do you know what's kind of funny is I was talking to someone recently and they were complaining about the on-camera flash
so
that
you have
pops up.
Okay.
It was like in passing, and I was just like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't used that in years, and you should probably get away from that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to think of something. Yeah, what else? What else could you do? Well, we'll see if you can think up one for me by the
What
end of the
you
show.
haven't thought of? Oh
Yeah.
my God. I feel like we're at the end of the show, Nick.
Okay.
We've been going for almost an hour.
Yeah. Probably time to wrap it up.
Yeah. That's what you haven't thought about in the last year, was how we are going to wrap up our next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Do you know what? We used to do the advice thing. You got advice to wrap up?
Boy, you know what? Okay, I'll go into a little bit of advice. You got to have one to wrap up the show, because this isn't great advice. But
was your advice ever great advice?
So this is advice for all of the kind of one-man band, or even people that are just filming gigs, doing photos, kind of grinding it out in the industry. Like, I don't know if you are so much, but like I am, kind of one client at a time. When you get a good client, keep them. Because right now I've got a great client. Like those merit awards that I do, I love doing them. They're so much fun. Between putting together the videos and then doing the live show part of it, it's great. So it's like, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now. And yeah, if you find the job you like doing, man, there's nothing wrong with keeping it and just keep doing it, because it's a blast, that show.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. The advice I would have actually probably goes back to that 800 mil. Like, you always ask me if a telephoto is even needed in a landscape photography bag, and I'm like, hell yeah. And to the point where, like, I will literally pull out an 800 mil apparently to get done what I can think I need to get done. And
yeah, this is the part I don't understand, is every piece of your gear is about size, getting it as small as possible, weight, getting it as light as possible, and then but yet somehow your go-to lens is an 800 mil. It doesn't make sense.
It was, yeah. I took all the like lighter primes too. I don't know. Honestly, like what happened was here's the true story of the fishing story, Nick. It's actually a bit wild, but we had this fishing trip planned for northern Saskatchewan. We're ready to go, and Wednesday, not a problem. Thursday, a fire started like a couple kilometers away. I don't even think it was a couple kilometers away, but from the site we were supposed to be staying at.
Okay.
So we got called Thursday at like 6 p.m. Saying that they were evacuated and like we can't go up there. So Thursday night we were calling around looking for a new place to fish. Friday.
Wow.
So it sort of became this, like, I wasn't even going to take camera gear at all because I'd taken it up to northern Saskatchewan. Kind of, it's a place right by Gem Lake. It's called Pipero Lake, and yeah, I'd been up there the last 8 years or something. I've always taken stuff, and I was like, you know what, this year I'm not even going to take it. I'm going to go lightweight. And then Thursday night was like the panic mode, and like, well, we're going to a new place. What am I going to see? And like, I don't know. I guess I'll just pack. Like, what am I going to pack? I don't know. What am I going to, I don't know. And just packed it all.
Nice.
Like, done. But yeah.
You'll have to show the photos. We'll have to, pick out a couple for next week.
Yeah, I'll have to try to get some off. We're driving into the park in Manitoba. There's a big sign that said, "Be bear safe." And about 20 yards in front of that sign, there was a bear.
Wow.
Yeah, like, I'm not even making that up. That's just how it was. I'm trying to find out the specs of that 800 millimeter lens too. It's a light lens.
It's a light. I bet you it's, what's it going to be? It's going to be at least 3.5, 4 pounds.
Nope. It is 2.77 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a cheap lens, but hey, it gets the job done. So don't let anybody ever tell you what lens to use, and do not listen to Nick when he says just use the widest aperture. You use whatever aperture you want, and whichever one makes sense, and usually Nick's wrong.
Yeah. Although as you get older, your eye's not quite as sharp with the focus. So yeah.
F4, baby.
Nothing wrong with
maybe
it.
not F4. Like, pick some weird in between 2.8 and F4.
Yeah. Well, with landscape, you can pick whatever you want.
Oh, I with these RF lens, I don't even shy away from like F22, which is crazy. Anyways, Nick, I think I'm going to hit the button. I'm going to go add to stage. It should play music here if it was not muted. And
awesome.
there
Have a good night.
We'll end the show. Yeah. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching.